Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for all the panelists and the people who've attended this hearing. This is so important that we reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. And I support the amendments and the changes that have been made in this legislation because violence against people, in addition to women, should also be against the law, and there should be protections, and there should be sanctuaries. And we are, as President Obama said many times, becoming a more perfect union, and this is part of the way we are, is by recognizing other instances of abuse and going forward. And I hope my Republican colleagues will come into the 21st century with us and support this new law and show that they're serious about protecting people. But otherwise, I'd like to ask Ms. Valente a question. Our nation has had a serious problem with processing rape kits in a timely manner. A few years ago, Memphis was unfortunately ground zero for the rape kit backlog. And when the rape kits go untested, the victims are without justice and perpetrators are on the streets to commit additional acts because they haven't been seen justice meted upon them and have them taken out of society where they can now commit more crimes. With the help of federal funding, and I have to say that we were successful in getting that federal funding on several occasions with Republican help. During the appropriations process, we oftentimes are bipartisan, and I had the privilege of having, I think, first Mr. Wolf and then later another Republican helped me with that funding. We made progress adding funds to decrease that backlog. As of January 2019, there were 40, give or take 4,500 DNA profiles from 4,600 sexual assault kits that had been entered into the FBI's combined DNA analysis system known as CODIS. These profiles have resulted in CODIS hits to almost 1,600 known convicted offenders and 371 known arrests. So it's shown the ability to find the perpetrators of these crimes, bring them to justice, and then protect, because this is oftentimes repeat offenses, they're serial offenders. In Memphis, we've had 3,526 investigations have been initiated, 3,140 investigations have been closed, 403 requests for have been issued, and 87 cases have been prosecuted. In 2013 version, the 2013 version of Violence Against Women, the VAWA Act, required that a minimum of 75% of Debbie Smith grants be used to carry out DNA analysis of samples from crime scenes for inclusion in CODIS, and increase the capacity of state and local government laboratories to carry out DNA analysis. DNA analysis is vitally important to Memphis and to other cities throughout this country. But I was hoping that you, Ms. Valente, could shed some light on why it is so important for our national efforts to address sexual assault and how these rape kit testing procedures are important in fighting sexual assaults.
So I'm going to preface this by saying something similar to what I said about housing. We have an expert behind us from the National Alliance to End Sexual Violence, and I would love to be able to connect them with after the hearing because they can provide so much more information. But the rape kit backlog is a very important piece. VAWA has played a very important role in making that increase occur. There have been pilot programs under VAWA that have really gone into communities and examined better ways of making sure that that backlog is taken care of, that in future we don't build up a similar backlog. And while I'm at it, I'm going to make a shameless plug for sexual assault services, because while they are authorized in VAWA, they are not authorized at the same levels as some of the other services, and they can certainly, we need that support. We need those programs to be expanded. We need rape prevention and education to be expanded, because then we won't even need rape kit backlogs programs. What we're really looking at is getting youth, children and youth, to really understand healthy relationships, to understand consent, to understand how not to commit these crimes in future, to respect the dignity of others. That's a piece of VAWA that was cut in the last reauthorization. We're still not quite sure why, and we would love to see that funding not just restored, but increased. It's a program that goes out to all of the states. It is seriously underfunded. The authorization level, we hope, could be raised to $150 million to give every state and territory access to that important program.
Thank you very much. In my last seconds before I've gone over, I just want to give credit to former Senator Joe Biden, who was the original sponsor of this. Yes. He wasn't always perfect on women's issues back in the day, but he was certainly right on this one. And
absolutely.
Louise Slaughter, who was the House sponsor and now deceased, but was a great member. And I think Steny Hoyer had something to do with it. He certainly talks about it a lot.
Yes.
I yield back the balance of my time.